Hello my dears. So Disney's Snow White has been a complete disaster from day one. The film hasn't even hit cinemas yet, but it seems pretty certain that this movie will be a flop and a bad investment for Disney if the trailer's reception is anything to go by. At the time of recording this video, the trailer has over 1.3 million dislikes, and the comments are just people ripping the film apart. Because of the abundance of negative comments, a channel called Chat Music managed to use them to make 3 songs. And all 3 songs have managed to amass millions of views.
Honey, why is there an earthquake here? This Walt Disney rolling in his grave. Nobody has ever rooted for a poison apple until this movie go, apple go. Actors with tropism, hi-ho, it's off to work, we know. They finally did it, they made a movie nobody's going to pirate. Did I frighten you? No Snow White and her 7 CGI did.
It's reported that Disney spent $269 million on this live-action remake, making it one of the most expensive live-actions Disney has ever made. According to Slash Films, Snow White would need to make around $600 million worldwide to break even in cinemas. That's just breaking even. It needs to make $600 million to just break even. So how did things get this bad? Well, in a time when people simply aren't going to cinemas as much anymore, a film has to be really enticing to drag us out of our homes, and unfortunately for Disney, Snow White is not one of those films for many reasons. For starters, it's a remake. Most people at this point are sick to death of remakes. We've had so many of these now, it's nauseating. And the cast members' behaviour has been pretty insufferable during the promotion of this movie. Rachel Zegler went viral for trashing the original Snow White, which makes no sense because the main reason people come to watch a remake is because they love the original. So why you would insult and alienate the most loyal fans of your project is nonsensical, but she did it. She spoke about the original with contempt, calling it dated and making it clear that she didn't know much about the original source material, saying that this version of Snow White won't be saved by the prince.
You said you were bringing a modern edge to it on stage. What do you mean by that?
I just mean that it's no longer 1937, and we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
not going to be saved by the prince.
Okay, cool. She wasn't saved by the prince in the original either. She was saved by the 7 dwarves. They are the ones that the animals ran to for help when they realized that Snow White was in trouble, and they are the ones who came and defeated the evil queen. The prince is literally in the original movie for like 2 seconds, and his only job is just kissing Snow White so that she wakes up. Most people don't even know his name, so I really don't understand why they overstate his role in the original film. She then called the prince a stalker.
I know that you've told me before that your version of Snow White is different and it's more of a 2022 version of Snow White. What did you mean by that?
I mean, you know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
Super weird.
So we didn't do that this time.
I spoke about this in my previous video, but something that I didn't notice at the time that I made that video is that in the original, although it may seem as though the prince just kind of pops out of nowhere, he actually doesn't. Snow White is cleaning and singing to the birds, you know, as you do. And she tells them that the well that she's cleaning is a wishing well that grants you your wishes. And she sings that she wishes that her one true love would find her. And that's when the prince shows up, implying that her wish came true. Films were a lot shorter back then, so they didn't really spend much time building up their relationship, so I can understand how the quick details can be easily missed. But that was their explanation for how he entered her life. So no, he wasn't random, and he definitely did not stalk her. And Zegler's emphasis on the new film discarding romance is something that I think a lot of us are growing tired of. I think they think that female audience members will cheer this on as empowering or something, I don't know. So this might blow your mind, okay? Are you ready? Are you sitting down? I need to make sure that you're sitting down so you can handle the information I'm about to drop right now, okay? Women like romance. I know, wild. I know it sounds crazy. I know it does. I know it sounds absolutely insane, but it's true. Women do enjoy romance. And back in the 2000s, Hollywood used to understand this. Because when you rewatch movies from the 2000s, which I have been doing more of recently, don't ask me why, okay? I don't judge your life choices. You realize that Hollywood used to throw in romance subplots into pretty much every movie, especially if the target audience was women or teen girls. And it's such a stark difference to the movies today. Zegler said this film would not focus on romance, it would focus on her becoming the leader she was born to be or something.
She's not not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be, and the leader that her late father told her that she could be if she was fearless, fair, brave, and true. And so it's just a really incredible story for, I think, young people everywhere to see themselves in.
So another overdone girl boss character, yay. The strong independent girl boss trope is so tired now, and a lot of us don't even enjoy it. The girl boss part isn't even the problem, okay? I don't mind a girl boss character. Strong girl boss style roles have always existed, but they used to be done so much better than they are today. One example that comes to mind because I recently watched the film is 2005's Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Jane is very much a badass character, and she's also everything that modern films wouldn't do now. They wouldn't make her sexy because apparently that's offensive, you know, beauty standards and blah blah blah. And they also wouldn't make her vulnerable because, I don't know, I guess vulnerability is like a bad thing now or something. I don't know. It just always feels like whenever they try and do strong female roles, they have to make them like very bad impressions of masculinity. So it's not necessarily that women don't like girl boss characters, we just don't like poorly written ones. And these days, most of them are poorly written. But it seems like Zegler may have had some media training since that whole controversy, because when she was asked about the backlash that Snow White was getting, she told Variety, "I interpret people's sentiments towards the film as passion. What an honour to be part of something that people feel so passionate about. We're not always going to agree with everyone who surrounds us, and all we can do is our best." But it's not only Zegler who caused problems for this movie. Peter Dinklage also managed to annoy people when he also displayed a lack of knowledge about the original source material. He described the original film as being backwards in a podcast interview and described the dwarves as living in caves.
Actor Peter Dinklage has something to say about Disney's live-action remake of Snow White. So speaking on a podcast, Peter said, while Disney was proud to cast Latina actress Rachel Zegler as Snow White, the story itself is problematic. Listen.
You're progressive in one way, but you're still making that backward story of 7 dwarves living in a cave. What the are you doing, man? Have I done nothing to advance the cause from my soapbox? I guess I'm not loud enough.
Because of this, the production team scrapped the 7 dwarves and ended up casting 6 random people instead. So it kind of became Snow White and the 7 randos instead of Snow White and the 7 dwarves. The 7 dwarves did not live in a cave, they lived in a cottage. If I had to guess where Peter got the whole living in a cave thing from, it might be because in the film, the dwarves work as miners. They work in the jewel mines. And so maybe he's like misremembering the film and thinking that they live in a cave when they don't. But you would think that if you're going to take on a role, you would at least study your source material. Whereas it's quite clear that him and Rachel Zegler didn't, because they just say a lot of things about the original film that are just incorrect. After watching an interview of Peter Dinklage go into more detail about what he meant when he made those original comments, I see where he's coming from. What he meant was that in the past, people with dwarfism were often not portrayed as normal humans. They were often portrayed as magical creatures like leprechauns and stuff like that, which he found understandably very dehumanizing. And because he lacked knowledge about the original source material, he assumed that Snow White was another example of that. He thought they were dehumanized and reduced to living in a cave. But they weren't. They were literally just a group of friends who lived together in a cottage and worked together running a jewel mine. They weren't portrayed as creatures, they weren't portrayed as stupid or infantile, they were simply just little men. I honestly think Dinklage's opinion of them was based on a false memory of what happens in the original film. Dinklage also managed to upset other actors within the industry who also have dwarfism. They essentially accused him of being a hypocrite and also accused him of pulling up the ladder behind him and preventing other actors from benefiting from the same opportunities that he's had himself.
Here's my issue. My issue with everything Peter Dinklage has said with this whole situation about Snow White and the 7 Dwarves and the remake coming. It's Snow White and the 7 Dwarves. It's not Snow White and the 7 normal-sized humans like every other movie. This is a fairy tale, a remake of a fairy tale, pardon me. And this is also giving 7 dwarves, people, real-life people, actors, a chance to star in a movie in a role that is fit for them, literally fit for them. I can't, when The Greatest Showman came out, I couldn't be the main lead. I couldn't be P.T. Barnum. I could have been one of the side acts. because that role was made for me. And the issue at hand is, by saying this, he's doing something worse for the dwarf and the little people community. He's trying to take roles away. It really blows my mind. The whole woke thing, you're going too far, in my opinion. It's too far. It's too much. You're trying to change something that doesn't need to be changed. There's nothing wrong with how dwarves were portrayed. He had no issue, absolutely no issue, being cast as a dwarf in Elf when he was representing that whole situation. That paycheck cleared just fine. When he was in Game of Thrones, he had absolutely no issue in that role when it was casted for a dwarf. That paycheck cleared just fine. Now this all of a sudden is crazy? This needs to be changed for current culture? Come on now.
All of this backlash then caused Disney to scrap Snow White and the Seven Randos and decide to CGI in 7 dwarves. And honestly, it looks terrible. I don't even know what's worse, to be honest. I don't know if it was worse to just keep the 7 randos or to CGI the dwarves, because I don't think that this made anything any better. I don't know. I feel like this probably is worse. But I guess they didn't know what else to do, and they were desperate to fix this train wreck. But I don't think this train wreck is fixable. I think this one is dead on arrival, unfortunately. The movie is set to release next month, and I almost feel sorry for them because this is going to be painful. There will still be people who go support and watch it, but it definitely looks like it will overall be a loss for Disney. I guess the question is just how much money will they lose? You know, we know they're going to lose money, but like how much money are they going to lose? Like, how bad will the damage be? I guess we'll have to find out next month. But anyways, that is all for this video. Let me know your thoughts. What do you think had the biggest negative impact on this movie? And do you think Disney might finally stop vandalizing classics? If you enjoyed this video, you may as well like and subscribe. Thank you so much for giving me your time today, and I will see you in my next video.